Meanwhile, sexual scandal also has spread now to the Ohio gubernatorial race, where Democrat Ted Strickland has been accused of mishandling the case of a former employee who was convicted of exposing himself to children. Republican candidate Ken Blackwell went as far as suggesting that Strickland actually supported pedophilia by declining to vote yes on a House legislation concerning adult child sex back in 1999. Joining us from the big one, WLW radio talk show host, a great American, Bill Cunningham, back with us. Sir, how are you?
Sean Hannity, it's always great to be with you.
It's great to be with you. I will see you in Cincinnati tomorrow. Big question. Why don't you bring us inside of what's happening in the state of Ohio, because this issue is exploding.
Well, as Alan Colmes may know, several weeks ago, some information was given to me relative to the conduct of Democratic Congressman Ted Strickland. A few years back, when he hired as his campaign manager a gentleman who had participated in masturbatory behavior before school children in a schoolyard 4 to 5 times. Those were the times he was caught. When Ted Strickland was finally notified of this, instead of firing the guy, a la Mark Foley, who left Congress, what Alan Colmes' good friend Ted Strickland did...
I never met him. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Bill?
Keep him on the job, and then, Alan and Sean, after the election, Ted Strickland flies off to the shores of Naples, Italy, in order to enjoy a little fun with his 26-year-old boy toy. And when this is going on, Ted Strickland and all Democrats are claiming that if you knew Mark Foley's situation, might have known Mark Foley, might have played tennis with him, resign, Hastert, Boehner, get out of office. But I'm saying to Ted Strickland, as is Ken Blackwell, and I think as is Sean Hannity, if the same standard applies to Ted Strickland, resign your Democratic House seat, quit the effort against Ken Blackwell for governor, and let the people have a real choice in this election.
Well, listen, Bill Cunningham, this is what's stunning about this. You know, for 14 days in this country, all we heard about was instant messages with Mark Foley, Mark Foley, Mark Foley. And all the indignation, shock, horror, outrage expressed by the Democrats. And then we go back and do a little history here. Jerry Studs had sex, not internet exchanges, had sex with a page. He got a standing ovation, a highly coveted committee position, and was loved by the Democrats. We had the scandal with Bill Clinton. He's loved by the Democrats. Barney Frank, loved by the Democrats. Now you're telling me here's an example far worse than what's being accused of Mark Foley. Sounds to me like this is the height of hypocrisy. How big an issue is this in Ohio in this important midterm election year?
In the Cincinnati Enquirer this morning, 3-inch headlines about Ted Strickland possibly being gay and showing bad judgment. You know, if Ted Strickland can't run a 3-member office in his congressional delegation, how does he run a state, the red state, Ohio, the Buckeye state, the heart that beats America, with 50,000 employees?
Bill, this is really pathetic. It really is really pathetic. You got a guy who is behind by double digits. Out of desperation, he's grasping at straws here, suggesting his opponent is gay, suggesting his opponent is a pedophile. There's absolutely no evidence of that. And this is really sad, what you and Republicans in Ohio are doing out of desperation because you're about to lose a seat. It's really pathetic.
My friend, Alan Colmes, the truth will set you free. What's good for the Democrats is good for the Republicans. What's good for the donkeys is good for the elephants. And I would say to you, Alan Colmes, if there was a Republican congressman that had a campaign manager and an aide being paid for by your tax dollars performing masturbation acts in front of school kids, and the congressman was notified, kept him on, promoted him, then flew off to Italy to enjoy a weekend, what would you do?
It happened supposedly in 1994, if it happened. The person denied that it happened. Compare this with the Republican leadership in Congress. Let me finish my point. I'll give you a chance to respond. Compare this with the Republican leadership in Congress covering up, in fact, urging Mark Foley to run until he actually got caught when Ted Strickland, a minister and a psychologist, and tried to convince people he's a pedophile, is absolutely beneath the dignity of even somebody like you.
Alan Colmes, I'm a very dignified man. He is not a pedophile, but he has a sensitive blind spot when it comes to pedophilia because he voted with Barney Frank in a vote that was 335-0 to condemn pedophilia and not to support NAMBLA. Ted Strickland and Barney Frank said, abstention, present, will not vote.
That was because there was a line in that legislation saying that if you were a victim of child abuse, you could not go up to be a normal adult. And as a psychologist, he objected to that. He knew it wasn't true, and he couldn't put his name on it. You got to give the full context to why someone doesn't vote for a multifaceted bill that has lots of things in it, some of which are objectionable.
Well, Alan Colmes, you may not understand sitting there in your expensive studios in New York, but Ohio is not New York. Kentucky is not San Francisco. Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana is the red heart that beats America. We don't put up with this stuff in the Buckeye State. Ohio State's #1 in football. Sean Hannity is #1 in this market, and I'm telling you right now that Ted Strickland has a hook through his mouth out of his eye, and we're going to bag him in about 3 weeks because he's a hypocrite, and Democrats cannot do to Mark Foley without the same thing being done to Ted Strickland.
But I got the truth be told. The #1 guy on the radio in Cincinnati is Bill Cunningham by far.
You're great. No, you're great. No, you're better. No, you're better.
Well, I'm going to tell you tomorrow, Bill Cunningham is a great day in Sean Hannity's life because I'm going to be in Cincinnati and I'm going to be standing side by side with you, and I can't wait to see you, my friend.
I love this. What a great love fest this is.
And
God bless you, Sean Hannity.
God bless you, Bill Cunningham, and you are a great American. And God bless this country, my friend.
All right,
get a room. Coming up, you don't understand what it means.